This is Miss Pat from Samuel's Public Library. This week in Science Scouts, we're going to talk about what causes the seasons. Why are our days so long? Why do our days get shorter? Why does the weather change? Our story this week is going to be Orbiting the Sun in Our Backyard, Secrets of the Seasons by Kathleen Zoehfeld. We're going to learn a lot about the Earth. Okay. I can see just about everything from up here in my treehouse, but my friend Zack noticed something I didn't. Something really big. The sun is setting earlier than it did a few weeks ago. Everyone says that the sun rises in the morning and goes down in the evening, but really it's the Earth spinning that's moving. We have sunrise and sunset because the Earth is moving around the sun. It takes the Earth one day or 24 hours to make one full spin. That's called rotation. As it rotates, half the Earth is in sunlight and half the Earth is in darkness. The Earth spins on its axis. On our globe, the axis is a metal rod going through. But for the Earth, the axis is an imaginary line moving from the North Pole to the South Pole, kind of like that imaginary line of the equator. It's easy to think that every day should be exactly half dark and half light, but Zack is right. Our daylight time is getting shorter. I love the long, warm days of summer. Shorter days mean it'll soon be getting colder. Autumn is on the way. Okay. See, so we are rotating around, or actually we are rotating in one spot, and then we are revolving around the sun. So we are here in the springtime. We are here in the summertime. You can see how much sun we're getting. We're here in the autumn, and we're here in the winter. After Zack heads for home, I lie flat on the grass and try to feel the Earth spinning like a giant blue top, tilting and twirling through the blackness of space. My stomach feels floppy. Maybe all the spinning is making me dizzy. Or maybe it's because I know the summer's ending. Maybe it's because school starts tomorrow. Actually, for you guys, school is just letting out. Okay, so this one shows you when it's winter in the northern hemisphere, it's summertime in the southern hemisphere. So see this side here, it's in the dark. It's further away from the sun. It's not just that it's dark, even when it's light, it's still going to be not getting as much sunlight. This one is closer to the sun, even when this one spins. So this one's going to be summertime and that's wintertime. Over here, this one is going to be now, because it's further away, this will be winter and we'll be in the summertime. So usually it's opposite. Very soon, as the school bus gets us home, Zack and I toss off our shoes and hit the ground running. One day in late September, the grass stops feeling friendly to our feet. It's cold and it makes our toes ache. Yep, it's September 22nd, the first day of autumn. That's called the fall or equinox. September 22nd or 23rd, usually every year. On this day, the number of hours of daylight equals the number of hours of darkness. So we will have 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of darkness. Right? At that point, we are not tilted away from the sun. And if you're standing on the equator, the sun's going to be right over your head. Autumn brings all sorts of new things to notice. A squirrel bounces along a bare branch. All around us, the leaves are changing. When the cold wind blows, the colors fly. Red, yellow, copper, gold. As the leaf curtain falls, it shows us a secret, a twig nest in the branches. It's empty now. It looks like the geese are pointing the way for the other birds to follow. Up above, a giant V of geese heads south. I wonder if the small birds have flown off too. Soon the leaves have all fallen. They have gone away with the birds. The days have been growing shorter and quieter too. At sundown, we only hear the scritchy scratchy of a few last bugs arguing high in the treetops. Then one day, they are silent too. We can't stay in the treehouse very long now. The cold wind makes the branches rattle and shake. Before we know it, the sun is gone, and the trees stand like black skeletons against a silvery sky. The winter solstice is December 21st or 22nd. On this day, there are very few daylight hours. It's the shortest day of the year. From now on, the daylight hours will slowly be getting longer and longer. The North Pole is tilted away from the sun, right here. Okay, so the North Pole is over here and it's tilted away from the sun. So we might only have 8 hours of daytime and 16 hours of night. We're still awake, but it's not very bright outside. That means the sun might be getting up at 8 o'clock in the morning, and it'll be gone by like 5 o'clock or 4:30 in the afternoon. We snuggle up inside and eat our supper by candlelight. I think about the geese and the other migrating birds. By now, they must be lounging around someplace warm, like Jamaica. Jamaica is much closer to the equator than we are, and it's always warm near the equator. Okay, so this one is showing you that these rays here, see how right here it's directly on there? Okay, so it's nice and warm there. But here, it's kind of at an angle. And you can see that little curve there, right? It's at an angle. So that's why our days are a little shorter, and that's why it's colder. We have less daylight hours, and we don't get direct sunlight. We kind of get it at an angle, so it's not as bright. The next morning, we wake up to a whirl of white. When the snowfall stops, I shoosh up to the treehouse for a better look. The world is hushed. 4 chickadees huddle closely together on a branch, their feathers all fluffed up. I'm glad they decided to stay. Every morning, I put out new seed. Winter birds flock around, even the shy cardinals. They all need the food they can get in this weather. I don't see many animals out and about, but crisscrossing the snowy fields, the tracks of fox and mouse, deer and grouse tell mysterious tales. Okay. So these are some of the winter birds that will stay and hunt for food. Right, we got blue jays and chickadees, hawks, cardinals. These are migrating birds. So our robins, they'll go. You'll see geese going. Okay, the oriole will go. As the chilly winter weeks pass, I begin to notice that the days are getting longer. It's hard to tell, but it's true. I wonder if the animals know it too. In the garden, Pete's the first to see the purple and yellow crocuses pushing up through the melting snow. Up in the treehouse, I see tiny green buds on the branches. And so after December 22nd, the days are going to start getting a little longer, just a couple minutes at each end. During the coldest part of the winter, frogs hibernate. Bullfrogs move down to the cold, cold water at the bottom of their pond, and they become very sluggish. They don't need to eat. One evening, a robin touches down on a branch and sings to the sunset, "Cheer up, cheer up! Spring has arrived." Tonight when I go to bed, I'll leave my windows open so I can smell the warm, damp earth. I'll fall asleep to the sound of spring peepers calling down by the pond. In the spring equinox, also called the vernal equinox, which is around March 22nd or 21st, the number of daylight and nighttime hours are going to be the same again. Okay. So where's the spring? Spring is right here. Okay, so it's going to be the same number of hours. So we'll have 12 hours of daytime, 12 hours of nighttime. Remember, when in the wintertime, we only had about 8 hours of daytime. Then the days got longer again. Each morning now, the bird's chorus sings me awake. Zack and I notice a pair of robins gathering twigs and flying up to a branch. We watch the robins working, and I think I can actually feel the earth speeding along its path in space. Our treehouse is a spaceship. It may seem like it's always in the same space, but really it's zooming us around the sun, spinning us towards summer. Time to get the garden ready. I can't believe it's April already. By the time the last day of school rolls around, my feet feel trapped in my shoes. I can't wait to wiggle my toes in the warm grass again. I want to smell flowers in the air. Finally, school's out and we're free. This evening, Zach's family comes over for supper. My dad and mom barbecue, and we eat outside under the tree. As darkness falls, 1,000 fireflies light up the lawn. Fireworks to celebrate the coming of summer. We creep quietly up to the treehouse now. The maple leaves hide a new secret. A breeze lifts the leaves, and we see the robin family tending their chicks. The mother and father fly back and forth with worms. Babies' beaks are wide open and waiting. On summer solstice, which is around June 20th, 21st, on this day, there are more daylight hours than any other day in the year. And so we're going to have a really long day. Okay, the North Pole is tilted towards the sun. So we might have 14 hours, 16 hours of daylight and only 8 hours of nighttime, right? So we'll probably have about 16 hours. So it's kind of the opposite of what we had in December when we had 8 hours of daytime. Now we'll only have 8 hours of nighttime and we'll have 16 hours of sun. It's really long. So the sun comes up about 5 o'clock in the morning. It doesn't go down till about 9 o'clock at night. Some days in the sun are hot. Even the squirrels droop. On the laziest afternoons of summer, we stretch out near the pond and watch the dragonflies darting. When the steamy wind blows, maple seeds whirl past our tree like crazy rain. I know the days are getting short again, even though it doesn't feel like it yet. The animals must know it too. They race to raise their babies before the cold weather returns. Okay, so remember, after June 21st, the days are actually going to start getting shorter during our summer break. At least up until September. And then in September, it'll be 12 and 12. Okay. So just to show you, in the summertime, this is what the sun looks like. Straight down. But in the wintertime, it's kind of at an angle. And it doesn't come up as high, so it doesn't last as long. It only comes up and then it goes down again. Actually, we just turn. The sun's not moving, remember, we are. By summer's end, robin babies have learned how to find worms for themselves. I've learned a few things too. This time, the signs of autumn don't escape me. In fact, I'm looking forward to watching them all. As we ride our spaceship on its steady course around the sun, it will soon carry us back to school, and we'll all travel together, back through another autumn, winter, spring, and summer, back through the cycle of seasons. Okay. And that's just in their backyard, right? And you guys have that too. So let's see, we want to go talk a little bit about the seasons, right? All right, so why do some parts of the earth have seasons and other parts don't? The simple reason is the earth is tilted. Okay, so if this is my earth, right, and here's my equator right here. I'm trying to find out where you guys are, right there. There's my equator. Here's the North Pole, but you see the earth is tilted. And different parts get more sunlight. That's what affects the seasons. Okay. All right, so throughout the year, different parts get more, and we saw that in the book, right? Different parts are going to get more direct sunlight. But in the autumn and the spring, we get 12 hours of both. So we get the same amount of daytime as we have, same amount of sunlight, nighttime and daytime. Well, look here. Okay, so it's summer on this picture. It's winter in the south hemisphere. So right now, we're starting summer. You guys are all going on summer break. We're down here in Australia or South America. It's winter time. Yeah, it's winter. And when we are having New Year's and Christmas break, or winter break, they're having summer in South America and Australia because they're down below the equator and they're facing the sun more. Okay, so remember, it's different seasons depending on which way we're facing. Right? The type of solstice depends on where you are. Remember, the solstice was the December solstice, and that was our short days. So if you're in the top part of, if you're in the northern hemisphere, okay, you're in the northern hemisphere like we are, you're gonna have a very short day. But if you're in the southern hemisphere, if you're down in Australia, that's their summer solstice. Remember, if we're having winter, they're having summer. That's their longest day. So we have 8 hours of sun and 16 hours of nighttime. They have 16 hours of sun and 8 hours of daytime. They have a very short night. In June, which is right now, it's going to be the opposite. We're going towards our longest day. Okay, we're going to have like 16 hours of daytime. They're going towards their shortest day. They're only going to have about 8. All right, so normally there are 4 seasons, and most places, if they have seasons, will have 4 seasons. Winter, spring, summer, and autumn, which is also called fall because that's when the leaves are going to fall, right? Wintertime, we usually get snow. It's cold. Springtime is when you see buds on the trees and flowers poking up. Summertime might be when you see fruit, right? And autumn, obviously, is when the things change. And not all the world has 4 seasons. Some of them only have 2. They have a rainy season and a dry season. Okay, and that might be it. If you go up towards the North Pole, it's just always cold. They don't ever really get a spring and a summer and a fall, right? Up north, they don't really have trees that lose their leaves. They have a lot of conifers. They have a lot of evergreen trees that stay, Christmas trees, pine trees. They don't ever have leaves changing, which means they don't ever have to have spring to have the leaves have things growing back, and they don't really have fruit growing up there either. So it kind of looks at the North Pole and the South Pole, kind of looks a lot like winter all the time. If you go down to Florida, the temperatures might change a little bit, but they don't get snow down there. It does get a little bit colder. Believe it or not, it is Florida, but it does get a little cold down there sometimes in the winter. You can go down at New Year's or Christmas time, and it won't always be 80 degrees. It might only be 60 degrees. For us, that's like autumn or spring. But for them, that's winter. They're going to have winter coats out. They're going to have gloves on their hand. You guys might just have a sweater on because that's what you're used to up here. So seasons are a little different depending on where you are and what the people are used to. Okay, this one tells you that the poles remain cold. They're never tilted in a direct path of sunlight. Right? They don't have the 4 seasons. On December 21st, okay, the North Pole is completely dark all day. And the South Pole is all day, it's facing the sun, and it has light all day, 24 hours of sun, but it's still cold. Okay, and if you're on the equator, you almost always have the sun. You always have 12 hours of daytime and 12 hours of nighttime. Okay, they kind of have the no seasons either because it never really gets cold there at the equator. Okay, so again, if you guys have a sun, we're going to have the Earth. And notice this one says north and south. This little line here, that's going to be, it's tilted. Okay, it's kind of tilted right now. It's tilted towards the sun. So that means the northern hemisphere is going to have summertime, and the southern hemisphere is pointed away from the sun. It's having wintertime. Now, as we go around, we're having the same amount of sun. Now, when we get over here, notice which side is facing the sun. Now it's the southern hemisphere, and they're going to have summertime, and we're facing away from it. The North Pole is facing away from it. So that's going to be wintertime. Now, you guys, when you come in, are going to get a craft. I know it's summertime and nobody wants to do any science stuff. So you can come in, get it, save it for a rainy day because we're going to have a few of those this summer. All right, so you're going to get a couple of things. Okay, that'll be your sun. We'll have the earth. I've even drawn the equator on it. I wrote down Virginia and I put the mark through. So now you'll know as it's going around, which way are you having? And this is going to be the thing that connects the two of them to your plate. Okay, so you'll need to cut it out. Now don't cut it out on the lines. You might want to just cut it out. Okay, cut it out like that. You don't really want to cut it out on the lines. And then you'll cut out your sun. You don't really have to label it, but you could. Right? And you're going to get one of the brackets. Okay, that's one of these. Always have a hard time holding these. Okay, one of these. I'm going to tell you to poke it through your sun. Okay. And through your gray paper, where it'll move. And then kind of center your sun. So it's in the middle of your plate. Okay, poke it through your plate. Oh, mine opened up. So now I gotta close it. I want to put it through my plate. Then you're going to close the back. Okay, so that it stays this way. This thing will move. Okay. Then get a glue, and I'm going to glue this on. Okay, now I'm going to glue it so that my equator is kind of towards the middle of my gray paper. Okay, and yes, that means my earth will be a little tilted. So I'm going to put glue right there on the end. And if you want, you could put tape there, it doesn't matter. Okay, so see, so now it's kind of even, but now I can see where my North Pole is. And if I wanted to, I could label my North Pole. Remember, my North Pole is not where this is. Okay, my North Pole now I've labeled it. Okay, my North Pole, whoops, is right there. And my South Pole is there. But now I can see this part is facing this way. Now, if that part is facing that way, I could take my marker, take a crayon. Actually, we'll take a crayon. All right, and I've kind of drawn lines. It's a little hard to see. All right, but I drew lines there. So now I know if I'm facing this way, Virginia is facing the what? Virginia is facing the sun. So we're having summertime. So I could write, and I am going to take a marker for this just so you guys can see it, right? And I'm going to know that this is summer. And I'm going to say, when it's over here, it's going to be summer. And I could draw things on, or put pictures there on what I see in the summertime, what I like to do in the summertime. Okay, and I could do that right here. Now, when it's up here, what comes after summer? I'll go back to school, huh? It's in the fall then. So this is going to be autumn. Okay, and I could write autumn. And And again, I could draw pictures of leaves, right? And then you can go all the way around. And after autumn comes winter. And then spring. Okay. Now, I am seeing I have a slight problem with what I just did. And let's see if any of you guys can figure out what I did. So you guys are going to have to, it means I'm going to give you guys an extra bracket. Okay? Because I'm not going to be able to glue my planet on here. Can't glue the Earth on, because then my planet is always upside down. Okay? And I kind of don't want it to be upside down all the time. So I took off the glue and I've put my bracket in, because I just realized when I glue it, the whole world just kind of keeps changing on the side. So now, remember, this means that the Earth, right, we're getting the same amount. Everything is equal. And then here, for the summertime, I want to find, we know that Virginia is facing the sun. But on the winter time, if all I did was glue it, which is what I did the first time, so I apologize. Virginia's still kind of facing it, isn't it? Because now it's upside down. So now I'm going to turn it around. Now I have a bracket instead of the glue. I'm going to make my equator equal. Now, instead of it being upside down, okay, and Virginia's away from, okay, we're facing away from the sun. That's going to be our winter time, okay? And that's going to be our short days. So as we go through the summer, watch to see. Your days are going to get shorter after June 22nd. Okay, that's going to be our longest day, 16 hours of daylight. Seriously, the sun comes up at 5 o'clock. You listen, 5 o'clock in the morning, the birds start chirping. Okay, around 9 o'clock at night, the sun is still going to be going down. You're going to see a beautiful sunset. But by August, the sun's going to be down before 9 o'clock. It'll be maybe 8:30, maybe 8. Okay, and the sun's going to start getting up a little later in the morning. So that by September, it's going to be 12 hours of both. And then by December, it's not going to be getting up till about 7:30 in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning. And it's going to be gone by 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It's going to be a really short day in the wintertime. So start watching those. And that changes with our seasons. Okay, we have different things happening. So enjoy. Hope you guys all enjoy your first week off of summer break. And hope you guys still come in. I know it's summertime. I know it's science. But come on in anyway and get stuff to do on a rainy day. And on June 22nd, if you guys register, we're going to be doing a Science Scout in person out in the garden. All right, so register online. Bye.